Hello, everyone. In this video, I will show you how to consume SOAP API from Salesforce. Introduction. In this video, we will demonstrate how to consume SOAP APIs from external applications such as Google, AWS, SAP, Azure, and other vendors. With the Skyvva SOAP Adapter, you can easily consume any SOAP API that is publicly accessible over the internet. The adapter supports multiple authentication methods, including basic, certificate, Salesforce Provider Authentication, and more. With just a few clicks, you can integrate external SOAP services. No Apex code is needed for SOAP callouts anymore. Prerequisite steps. The first step is to create an integration. Interface, SOAP message type template, and SOAP adapter. These were already shown in the previous video. Now let's start it. We already have an existing integration, so click on the integration. Click on Interface tab to create new interface. Before creating an interface, you need to generate the SOAP message type template first to link the interface. Go to Metadata Provider page. Scroll down, click on Repository. We need to use the Import Metadata function to import the SOAP message type template. Now, I will show the WSDL file. This is just an example. You can use the file from your API to design the message types. Here is the WSDL file. Using this file will automatically generate the SOAP message type template. Click Import Metadata. Choose the file type, WSDL. Click Next. Upload the file name. Click Next. Select message type name, then save. We will not go into detail about importing metadata because we already covered that process in the previous video. Now, the message type SOAP template has been created successfully. Here is the SOAP message type template that is generated. Includes two types, XSD complex type and WSDL service. However, you can see that it includes the message type WSDL service, which contains three child elements: request, response, and fault response. In the request structure, you will see the element levels, HTTP header, URL query parameters, the SOAP envelope, and the SOAP body, which contains the business account node. Similarly, for the response structure also includes the HTTP header, the envelope, the body, which contains the business account node. And the fault message type structure includes the envelope, body, and the fault element. It is used in the interface response to handle specific errors that occur during request processing. When an error happens, the system returns a fault response, which is processed through the fault interface. After successfully generating the message type SOAP template, we need to set up the request and response interfaces for processing. Go to the Interface tab to create the interfaces. In this case, we need to create three interfaces: one outbound interface and two inbound interfaces. If you want to learn how to create an interface, please check out another video on our YouTube channel. Click New button. Fill name of interface outbound. We will not detail about choosing the fields here, as this process has been demonstrated multiple times. Select the metadata provider name that you created earlier. Select the repository name. Select the message type name. When using the message type template, it will automatically link to the request node for the outbound interface. Here's the new interface created. Click on it to view detail. You can see that the outbound interface has been linked to the request correctly. Open the mapping button to do mapping. Now map the source account node to the account node on the target side. Then map the fields one by one, then save the mapping. The outbound interface mapping is already completed, so now we can proceed to create the inbound interfaces. Fill name of inbound interface. For some fields, we will not go into detail because choosing is not different. Select the metadata provider name. Select the repository name. And select the message type name for inbound. It will automatically link to the response node. Then click Save. Click on it to view detail. You can see that the inbound interface has been linked to the response node correctly. This is a normal response interface that sends a standard message when the API request is successfully received. Open the mapping. Normally mapping node to node, then map field one by one. After that, check any field as the external ID. For inbound processing, an external key is required to insert or update records. Click Save. Now we need to create a new inbound interface to handle the response fault message. Fill name of inbound fault interface. Choose the account object and direction inbound. Select the metadata provider name. Select the repository name. Select the fault message type name. Click Save button. Click on it to view detail. Here you see that it is linked with message type fault and direction inbound. A fault interface is required to properly handle error messages returned by a SOAP service. When a SOAP request fails due to issues such as missing data, invalid input, or server errors, the service does not return a normal response message. Instead, it returns a fault response message. Click Open the mapping. On the left side, you can see the source mapping, which uses the fault message type structure. On the right side, the target mapping, which is the account object. We map the fault node to account node. Then map field one by one. According to the SOAP standard, a valid fault message must contain at least two required elements: fault code and fault string. These fields are used to store the error type and the error details returned by the service. Check field fault code as the external ID. For inbound processing, an external key is required to insert or update records into Salesforce. Click Save the mapping. Now we have created all the necessary interfaces: the fault interface, the normal response interface, and the request interface. Scroll down and find the section Inbound/Outbound Setup. In this section, you can link both the response interface and fault interface on it. Click Edit icon. Select the fault interface name. And select the response interface name. Click Save Interface. The next step is to create the outbound SOAP adapter. Click New button to create new adapter. Fill name of adapter. Select the type as SOAP. Select outbound direction. Select active status. The SOAP adapter support with authentication type including Basic, Certificate, and Salesforce Authentication Provider. In this video, we will use the Basic authentication type. However, you can choose any authentication type based on your requirements and what your API system supports. Enter the username. Enter the password. The SOAP version support with SOAP 1.1. Enter the API service endpoint URL provided by your system. SOAP Adapter supports only XML for both requests and responses, including normal and fault messages. Click Save button. Here is the adapter is created. Click on it to test the connection. Scroll down. On the request body, can input the payload request. Now let us show you the request body and response body payload in Customer 24 Online, which provides the SOAP API used as an example in this video. Here's the sample request body that requests to Salesforce. This is the response body returned by the SOAP API, which we will use to insert the account data into Salesforce's account object. Now, go back to the adapter screen and input the request body from Customer 24 Online into the request body section of the adapter. Then click Test Connection. This is the response payload from Customer 24 Online. Then save the request. Go to the request interface. Find the outbound setup section to link the adapter. Click Edit icon. Select the SOAP adapter name and click Save button. Now go to Integration and Interface tab, Refresh button to view the adapter. The interface has been linked with adapter. Select on Outbound Interface and check box to do the processing. Click the Interface Processing button. A pop-up screen will appear with 3 options. In this example, we select the Filter Query option and then click Send. We won't go into detail here, as this topic is already covered in another related video. After the manual process completes successfully, check the message on monitor. Here you can see that one complete message has been created. It includes the API request message containing the account request data and the API response message showing the account creation. As you can see, when the SOAP request is successful, the response is handled by the normal response interface. Now, continue manually again. To show that when the request fails, the response will be handled by the fault interface. Here you can see the root message is partial completed, which means that at least one record has failed. When a request message fails, the SOAP service returns a fault message, which will be processed through the fault interface. Here you can see that the response message is correctly handled by the fault interface. One account was created, and another was modified. Now, click on the account record to view it in Salesforce. Finally, the processing is complete. Summary. This video demonstrates how to consume SOAP APIs from external applications such as Google, AWS, SAP, Azure, and other vendors. With the Skyvva SOAP Adapter, you can connect to any SOAP API that is accessible over the internet. It allows you to send requests, handle successful responses through the response interface, handle errors through the fault interface, and map SOAP data directly to Salesforce objects, all without writing any code. Thanks you for watching. See you the next video.